Hi guys. So today I want to talk about everyone's favorite tenses, the past continuous versus the past simple. So anyway, first let's talk about why the past continuous is so important. It's very important for when you're telling stories, you're giving background information, you're filling in gaps. If you just tell stories with the past simple, I woke up, I went to the office, I ate lunch, I worked, I went home, everyone's going to be asleep 2 minutes into your story. The past continuous makes the story come alive. It fills in all of that information that is going to make your story real. What happened when you were going to the office? What was the weather? What were you wearing? What were you thinking? Where were you at the time? All of that is going to come with the past continuous to make your stories interesting so that people want to listen to you. Now, let's look at the rules of the past continuous. First, and this is the key, because this is where everybody makes a mistake. So I want to point it out first. It is not used for a process or a duration. You're not going to say, I was walking or I was reading a book for 4 hours on Sunday. That's not going to be right. That's going to be past simple. An action at a specific time in the past. I read a book for 4 hours on Sunday. But anyhow, let's look at when we actually do use the past continuous. So there are 5 main rules for the past continuous. The first, when we want to talk about an action that is in process when something else happens. That is the key. Something else has to happen. So I was reading a book on Sunday is simply not enough because nothing else happened in that story. I read a book on Sunday. So the past continuous. I was reading a book when John called me on the telephone. I was in the process of this action when something else happened. So I was walking down the street when I saw the accident. Okay, so action in process when something else happens. And the interesting thing is the something else happening. Okay, I was reading a book when John called. And the rest of my information is probably going to be about what happened after John called. And if I tell you I was walking down the street when I saw the accident, is your interest going to be the walking down the street or about the accident? So the past continuous provides the background for the other thing that's happening, action in process when something else happened. The second rule of the past continuous is just 2 actions simultaneously happening in the past. Okay, I was reading a book while Bob was cooking dinner. Nothing that interesting. If I said on Sunday I read a book and Bob cooked dinner, that would be fine. But for some reason, I'm focusing on the process of the actions, what I was doing. I was reading a book, Bob was cooking dinner. Then all of a sudden we heard on the news something really interesting. So again, it's just providing background for the other main actions in your story that you're going to come up with. So first rule, it's action in process when something else happens. The second rule, 2 actions simultaneously happening in the past. The third rule we're going to use is, and I tell you guys this all the time, this is like the police or the jealous boyfriend or girlfriend or whatever, who is going to ask you, what were you doing at 6 p.m. yesterday? So it's an action at an exact moment in time in the past, not Sunday, but 5:30 p.m. on Sunday. For example, what were you doing last night at 1 a.m. or this morning at 1 a.m. as you may say it? Either way is fine. So you were probably sleeping if you're like me, if maybe we're partying too, I don't know. But nonetheless, I was sleeping at 1 a.m. The action started before 1 a.m. and the action continued at 1 a.m. So action at exact moment in time in the past. If I were to say I slept at 1 a.m., That means I went to bed at 1 a.m. Okay. I was sleeping. The action started before that. It continued at that time. So those are the three rules. The fourth rule we're going to use for the past continuous is we're going to use it for the background, as you might have already seen from the other two. It's really the background for what's going on. So when I woke up this morning, the rain was falling, the birds were singing, people were walking around with their umbrellas, and all of that is the background to my story. Think of your life as a movie. And if you think about your life as a movie, you're the main character of that movie. All of your actions are going to progress in the past simple, but all of the things happening around you, the people talking, the birds singing, the wind blowing, all of that is going to be in the past continuous. So again, that's the background for everything. So right now, you are listening to me. And all of the things happening around you are also in the continuous. Maybe someone is nice enough to be cooking something for you. Maybe your children are playing. All of these things are going on in the background of what's happening. It's the same with the past continuous. When I was walking down the street, the cars were passing, children were playing, people were talking, etc. So the background to all of your life and all of the actions, your character walks through life, walks through the world, all of that happening around you is going to be past continuous. And the final and fifth rule of the past continuous is going to be for emphasis. When you want to emphasize something, but it's negative, okay? It's negative. For example, you can say, Jason, me, was always teaching us about the past continuous, and it was not very interesting. Maybe it was boring to you and you want to say, oh, I wish he would stop talking about that tense. So you can also say, when I was on the train, people were talking the whole time I was on the train. I was trying to read my book and people were talking the whole time. You want to stress that it's negative. When I visited Germany, it was raining every day. So you're emphasizing that you disliked it. That's important. You can't say it was raining every day in Germany. If you enjoyed it, if you liked the rain, if you're English, maybe the English don't like the rain, but it rains a lot there. Seems to rain a lot in Odessa now too, but nonetheless. So it stresses the negative emotion. So let's look at the rules again. We want to focus on one. That's an action in the past, in process when something else happens. I was watching TV when I saw the news. Not I was watching TV for 4 hours when I saw the news. Not I was watching TV for 1 minute. That's a different tense, and we'll talk about that tense in a later video. But there is no time with the past continuous. It is simply action in process when something else happens. If you put in 2 minutes, if you put in 1 second, if you put in 3 hours, it's wrong. No time, no process. I was watching TV when I heard the news. That's the first rule. Second rule, 2 actions occurring simultaneously in the past. I was watching TV while Bob was cooking dinner. I wish Bob would cook me dinner, but sadly, no. So the third rule is when you want to talk about all of the things that were going on in the background. So anyway, I was living in Ukraine when this happened. So the whole story is going to take place while you were living in Ukraine. You met your wife, you started your job, you had children, but while you were living in Ukraine is still happening around that. So it's the background to everything else. The fourth reason, of course, is the exact moment in time in the past. At 5 p.m. yesterday, I was teaching a lesson at exactly that time. It started before 5 p.m. My action continued at 5 p.m. And finally, the fifth rule is to emphasize a negative emotion about the past. When I was at school, my teacher was always falling asleep in class or something like that. And you want to say that that was negative. So it cannot be for something positive. We also do that for other tenses as well, but we'll get to that later. Okay, so in my opinion, this is probably the hardest tense for students to use, but it's so important. You need to integrate it into your language to make your stories interesting, to make people want to listen to you, to take your English away from being like a robot. I woke up, I went to work, I came home. No, I woke up. When I woke up this morning, the birds were singing, the sun was shining. It was amazing. And then I went into the bathroom to wash my face. And while I was washing my face, I heard an unbelievable story on the news. You wouldn't believe it. Then I left my house, and while I was walking to work, I saw my friend who I hadn't seen in 5 years. The wind was blowing really hard. He was wearing this funny hat, etc. All of these things are adding the color to your story. And without those colors or without those backgrounds, your English is going to suffer. I know that it's easy to use the past simple and to construct sentences in that. But what we want to do is make our English better, to make ourselves and our stories more interesting, to make ourselves more engaging to others. Anyway, this is a hard tense. It really is. So you need to practice it. You need to do exercises, and you need to speak it. Try it. The only way to succeed is through making mistakes. When we make mistakes, we learn why they're mistakes, and we get better a little bit every day. So anyway, thank you very much. I hope this video was useful, and please do the exercises, practice, and you will get better. So thanks again. Bye.